What's up, guys? Stephen Bogren here from Pro Physique. Today, what I want to talk about is the post-show weight gain. So what's up, guys? This week today, let's talk about something very near and dear to my heart. We're going to talk about post-show weight gain. Why is it near and dear to my heart? Well, I officially today weighed in the heaviest of my life. Heaviest I've ever weighed in at 187, right? Morning weight. Now, that is not a lot. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I'm still really reasonably lean. However, the number on the scale is definitely the highest it's ever been. And it's about 10 pounds up from the last show. So let's talk a little bit about why that's okay, why in some cases that might be less okay, and kind of how to deal with that mental mind fuck that is the scale going up and getting less lean post-show. Because I think that that's really the hard part, right? So why is 10 pounds okay for me right now? Well, 10 pounds is okay for me right now because, oddly enough, I'm still leaner than when I started my diet, right? And I lost less than 10 pounds throughout the entirety of my diet, right? So I started my diet at 182, right? Dropped down to 172 and a half, came back up to like 174, 175 for the first show, and about 177 for the second show. Now, because of the fact that I didn't really lose a lot of weight, like on the scale, body composition improved, like I have more wiggle room in terms of going back up. So that scale weight, right, that number on the scale is less indicative because we made a lot of body composition improvements without the scale making as much of a change. Not everybody's going to be in that same boat, but remember, you are an individual and your individual situation is important. So in being objective about kind of where you're at and what's going on, you have to take into account your personal situation, where you personally are at, right? Now, had I not gotten as lean, maybe 10 pounds would be a bad thing, right? So maybe at that point we would have some cause for concern. And even so, the fact that I'm still leaner than I started my diet, we have had a little bit of that. Let's not keep going, let's not keep pushing the envelope right now, right? Because we don't want to let things get away from us. And so, in terms of your reverse diet and putting body fat on back post-show, I think the people it's the hardest for are the ones who get the leanest, right? Because they're the ones that tend to need more body fat, right? Because they just don't have any. And so seeing things go up quickly can be very hard because it took a lot of time, effort, and work to get it to go down. So it all really starts with understanding that stage lean is not a good maintainable place to be, right? That's where everything begins, plain and simple. Now, the second thing that you need to consider is when is the next show, right? So for me, 2 to 3 years, not for a long time. Now, if I had another show in 2 to 3 weeks, we would be in a bad spot. If I had another show in 2 to 3 months, I would be in a bad spot. So taking, again, into account your personal goals, situation, where you're at and what you want to do is important, right? So say I had another show and I wanted to compete again at the end of the year, I'd probably want to only be a couple pounds over stage weight. We would definitely be a lot more conservative in terms of our approach, right? But since that's not the case, we're okay with it. I think the third thing is to really just have somebody that's objective. Have someone else that is outside of your own head, that is able to talk to you, to sort of reel you back in and get you to a good place. When you exit a dieting phase, it is very, very easy just to be food focused. And trust me, I was there, and maybe to a bit still there a little bit. So it's really, really easy to just be super hyper focused on food, and if we allow that to go too far, too long, it can get us into really unhealthy relationships with food and our diet, and then really can have some negative impacts and effects on our lifestyle in general. So we just want to be aware of not only the physical changes that we're making post-show, putting on weight, putting on a little bit of body fat, giving our joints a break, allowing hormones to restabilize and get to normal levels, but psychologically as well. And we can see some of those psychological aspects also be part of hormonal aspects, right? Like if you've ever dieted down to extremely low body fat levels, you understand quite well that, it's not that the opposite sex disappears, but they definitely don't seem to matter as much. One of the things we see is that when that drive, that libido comes back, right? So some people have a lot of emotional investment in that as well, and we can see that that's part of normalizing again, right? Noticing that, hey ladies, you definitely, exist. That's a good thing, right? And for you ladies, maybe understand that, hey fellas, you definitely exist. And we definitely think that's a good thing too. So understanding that there's so much more to life than just that one fitness goal, right? Because we have personal lives, we have families, we have friends, and when we get into prep, it can be trying on those things, right? So putting on the body fat, it's not just about restoring your physiological symptoms, right? It's not just about getting back to healthy hormone levels. It's not just about restoring your metabolic rate. It's not just about this, that, and it, right? It's also about being able to spend time with family. It's about being able to enjoy a meal. So there's a lot of different things that sort of culminate into this reverse dieting that we can very easily overlook. And so if you're like me, one of the big ones is I become a prep hermit, out and about all over again. So that is one other thing you want to be able to look at objectively and prioritize. How important are those relationships to getting back to being out and about, being able to go out with friends, enjoy a meal, spend time at the beach, not have to necessarily track every single thing. Those are all really important, right? And I would say the further out you get, the higher your calorie intake is while you're maintaining weight, the better place you're in to be doing those things. And again, it's going to depend on how lean did you get, how much body fat do we want to put on, when's the next show, do you even want to compete again? These are all very, very important questions to be asking yourself, right? So keep all of that in mind and do your best to try and be objective with yourself. I think one of the other things that really, really helps is looking at old pictures of yourself before you start the diet, right? One of those big mental hurdles that we have to try and get over is that, hey, I'm getting fat idea again. And it's very, very, and I find myself doing it too, right? And so I am by no means out of the loop on this one. But it is a very, very vain thing to say. And I have to get on myself and hold myself accountable for this too. Because my idea of fat, it's not the same, right? I'm not obese. We're not unattractive. We're still in the high percentage range of most people in terms of general populace, right? When it comes to low body fat percentages and being in a healthy, good place. So I think for us, a lot of it's that body image that kind of comes up. And we have to remember to put things objectively in perspective. You're still much leaner than the vast majority of the population, right? You're still in a really good place in terms of most likely where you're at, getting ready to be on stage, I think anything within 20 pounds is pretty easy to get on stage with. You can just get reasonably aggressive and then go from there. After that, once you start getting above 20 pounds, things start becoming a little bit more difficult, right? As you need a little bit more time. And give, obviously, if you're a smaller female individual, you want to be closer to stage weight. If you're a larger male individual, you can be further away from stage weight, right? Percentage of total body mass, right? So that's another thing you want to keep in mind when you're coming out of the show. I think for me, it's just this overwhelming whole of not only healthy body, but healthy mind, healthy heart, healthy soul, and making sure that you have as much balance as possible. And I know a lot of people think that balance is sort of a facade during prep. Absolutely. When you're not in prep, you should really be looking at balance, having a full life and enjoying all the things that matter to you. So that's it, guys. Hopefully that helps a little bit with bringing back some perspective in terms of that post-show blues, putting on body fat, and really accepting it. Not only accepting it, but realizing that it's going to be a good thing to benefit you long term. Because in the end, remember, you will not make the same kind of progress in your improvement season if you don't put some of that body fat on. All right, guys, talk to you soon.